Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today we're going to install the True Edge rivet style painted to match fender flares on this 2009 to 2014 Ford F-150. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we've already dry fitted all the fender flares up on the truck to make sure everything fit properly. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to install on all the fender flares the edge trim, and that's just on the edge that touches the paint. We've wiped down the inside surface with rubbing alcohol to prep it. Okay, so we're going to take our edge trim material, we're going to peel away a few inches of tape, and then we're going to start at the edge and start wrapping this around the edge. Now what you want to do is you want to work a little bit ahead, fitting it over top of the flare, and then pull the red tape away from it to make sure you can get a good bond. Just keep that and do that on all four of your flares. So now all of our pockets that have the holes in them, we're going to go ahead and put the bolts in place, and then we're going to do this on all the flares. So we're going to find our bolt. We're also going to find a washer. Now the way these washers are made, they're stamped. And so you got kind of a smooth edge and you get a rough edge. The smooth edge is what needs to face the paint. So we're going to take the bolt, put it through the rough edge so the smooth edge hits the paint, push it through the hole, and then we're going to take a nylock nut. Now we've got the included tool to hold the bolt in place. We want to hold the bolt still on this side. We don't want the bolt to spin as we're tightening down. We're going to use a 1/2 inch ratchet. Just repeat that on all the holes. Okay, so we're going to have 3 screws we need to pull out from the factory. Those come out with a 7/32, and we're going to keep those because they're going to go right back in. Take this one, we're going to leave that one. We're going to come up, take this one up here up next. And finally we're going to follow that around all the way to the very front of the wheel well, just before you get to the plastic. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to find our bracket. It's labeled right front. Now this bracket, this is the inside of the bracket, needs to go up into the inside of the wheel well. Now it's going to line up to the holes that where we took the 7/32 out here and here, and then also where the U-clip goes in, we're going to use one of our small sheet metal screws to go in through here. It's real close in size to the larger sheet metal screws. You only have 2 of the smaller ones in your kit. So grab the smaller ones, goes through this hole and into the U-clip we install underneath the fender flare. Now we're going to reinstall our 7/32 screws, 2 of them that we took back out, and that's going to hold this bracket into place. Go straight back into the factory holes it came out of. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to line the fastener up into place. Once everything's pulled up nice and tight, we're going to look up underneath. We're going to see where this hole, when we push it in, lines up to the plastic bumper. Once we've lined that up, we're going to mark that. I'm using a silver Sharpie. Now, when we follow this up here, there's actually a hole in the frame that we just installed, but there's no hole in the fender flare. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the fender flare out a little bit, see where that hole is, and then we're going to mark that hole on the flare itself so we can drill a 1/4 inch hole. It's going to be right about here. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and set our flare in place. We're going to use our 7/32 screw that we took out from the wheel well down here. We're going to put that back in place through the hole in the flare. Next, we're going to use 4 plastic fasteners and put the rest of the flare in place. Now this hole right here, there's nothing behind this hole to fasten to, so we're just going to skip that one. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to go to the rear. Now we've got a support beam that comes down to the inside, comes down to the very bottom. It's held in by a 10mm bolt. We're going to pull that 10mm out. We'll retain that bolt. We'll come to the other side where the other support beam is coming down, pull that 10mm bolt out as well. All right, now we're going to take our flare and put it up in place. We're going to get up underneath and start these 10mm bolts back into the holes we just took them out of. Next, I'm going to take a Sharpie, and on the 4 locations where we have holes, I'm going to push them in, and I'm going to mark the sheet metal on the inside of the fender with a silver Sharpie. On one at the front, we're going to rock the flare back in order to see the spot that needs to be marked on the fender. Next, we're going to take our 4 long clips. Now, it's very important to have the orientation of this clip right. The hole should be facing towards the towards your tire, and the part the threads catch need to be facing towards the inside of the body of the truck. We're going to take, and that is going to clip over the sheet metal right at the spot where we marked it. And the hole goes almost to the edge of the sheet metal. We're going to do that on all 4 spots. That way when we rock this back into place, we can take and fasten that screw into the clip, and we're going to tighten them down. Okay, now when we get to the clip that is for the hole at the very front portion, furthest away from the tailgate, we're going to set that clip in there because it's only going to catch a little bit of the sheet metal. Hold it in place while we put the screw through it. It is a good idea to use a stubby screwdriver for this. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and tighten down all our screws, tighten down our 10mm bolts, repeat the same process on both fender flares on the opposite side. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.